Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Hope you are doing well. So my name is Veljko Janjic. I am president of Bexel Consulting. Hope a lot of you already know me. And today I'm going to talk together with my colleague Alexander Ilic about smart 4D and 5D planning and the monitoring process, and also what are the most important analysis in the progress, earned value analysis and KPIs. We are let's move forward. I would like to ask you, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat section all your questions, and we will try to answer to those questions. So please try to consider this webinar as a full interactive webinar. It is also a breakout session from 4D construction conference, and it is still ongoing. It's a bit, let's say, delay in the schedule. So I hope that some people from the conference will also join us quite soon. So let's say start about Bexel. I guess a lot of you already know about us. We have to say that we are proud that last week we are chosen as a winner of the Innovation Award Building Smart International 2020. This is the most prestigious award in the BIM world and digitalization. Competition was great, excellent solution. So it was really pleasure to be among those finalists. So really great technologies, great innovations, great tools, and it seems that industry is moving really in the right direction. So what is we are going to talk about today about integrated approach from the start, how essentially you can do a lot of standardized let's say from data checks, then when the model is verified, how to automatically create intelligent interactive cost classifications, quantity takeoffs, and of course schedules. What is also going to be especially important today, we are going to talk about KPIs, so earned value analysis, how the progress is in the BCF format entered, how with the small scripts and APIs you can create automatically very interesting look ahead plans. So I hope it's going to be interesting, and you will see also that we are always try to automate the processes, make them intelligent, and really help the users of Bexel Manager platform. So what today we are going to show you several case studies. We are going to talk about open BIM standards. Also, I'm personally steering committee member of construction room within Building Smart International. So I'm going to talk also about new MVDs and new standards for open BIM, because this is very important. Collaboration is crucial. And also we are going to talk about data, of our standard workflows, optimal innovative processes. So in this case, we are going to talk about 6-step innovative workflow, where you start with geometry and metadata checks and verification. You will see also how easily you can enrich the model with new properties, how to create quantity takeoffs, cost classifications, which are BIM based, so they have BIM queries and formulas, so automatically the budgets could be calculated. And I hope you already know about the ways how to define methodologies. My colleague Alexander is going to talk about the ways how you can create different methodologies, and in instant, let's say in a couple of minutes, see the totally different schedules, because the methodologies are changed. And what is very important, it's going to be shown how when you update the BIM model with new IFC files and you add new elements to the project, how the entire simulation, all analysis, cash flow, costs of each task is updated, and essentially you can move forward without necessity for a lot of additional manual work. We are going to also talk about connection of IFC and QTOs. So why IFC is important and how we can use IFC properties. Of course, Bexel can use any properties which exist, but we believe that using a standardized IFC properties for zoning, for methodologies, for cost items could really help users to utilize the benefits of the workflows and not depend on any proprietary platform. And why it's also very important, usually on especially large scale projects where Bexel Manager is used, there are a lot of different authoring tools used as a source of design, and focusing just on one set of properties and rules which are tailored just to one solution will, let's say, prevent us to use this on the global perspective and to optimize the workflows and processes for all models we have in the federated integrated BIM ecosystem. So here is one thing, is that with Bexel you can create a custom breakdown structure, so the system can analyze the BIM model and utilize all the properties already available, create quantity takeoffs. This is one workflow. We'll show you several today. Fine-tune a cost classification, add costs if they don't exist in BIM families or BIM types, and then create automatically cost version, define methodologies and templates, and automatically create schedule. So we are going to talk about this workflow, and here are some examples where our platform is implemented using very similar core principles, of course, fine-tuned slightly for a different projects. But I have to say that methodologies, although hospital projects, residential and football stadium looks very different, are quite similar. A lot of things are more or less the same. Maybe the plans and the metro projects, tunnels are slightly different because some of the zoning is done in a different manner, and of course methodology for construction is a bit different. In this case, we are going to talk about data integration and metadata checks. So Bexel Manager is IFC certified by Building Smart. We support fully IFC import and export, fully support also BCF, and in those data checks you will see how you can literally based on data requirements, data specifications, integrate the requirements into Bexel and automatically perform various data checks. In this case, we are going to talk about Excel as a source of the rules, but also JSON, which is literally a month ago, we within Building Smart discussed about information delivery specification, published the first document for JSON, and we immediately integrated this. So we hope that the other solutions will also follow us and use this JSON. And not just that hope, but I already know that, and we know that there are some others. So it's literally will allow us that use the data checks from Bexel into any other application, or contrary, to use data checks in other IFC solutions in Bexel. So really help the users to be much more flexible. You will also see some add-ins, how this could be added, and the properties sent back to authoring tools. So just in this sample, we have the project which is originally developed in ArchiCAD. This is by courtesy of Graphics of Deutschland. So this is in German, but as you know, Bexel Manager could be used in a lot of different languages. So the system is reading the properties which are mandatory in each stage of the design, and all those properties are going to be automatically checked. So for each category in each design stage, Bexel Manager will automatically detect if certain properties are missing. This is a newly developed standard JSON for data checks. It is very simple. Bexel can do much more, but let's say this is an open format, how the mandatory properties in each stage are defined. And as you can see now with the small add-in, Bexel already supports this new open standard. So in the first workflow, we're just loading the Excel spreadsheet. We can save that checklist from Excel into JSON and use it hopefully quite soon in a lot of other platforms as well. So this is the, let's say, fully open approach. So as you can see now, all the properties from Excel are in JSON format. Of course, what is essentially why we are developing this is that we can load that checklist and run choose the phase of the project, let's say in this case construction phase, and run the data check for all elements or just particular elements. And in a couple of seconds, you see that all selection sets are generated, and which is fully customizable. So, and you can on the left hand side see all those checks when the check is performed, and you can easily, in this case, by using Beam Collab as a collaboration platform or file-based BCF, automatically send to the designers and other stakeholders on the project. So essentially they can see what the properties are missing and so on. Why this is very important and why we always start with clash detection and data checks, because otherwise if the properties are not there, let's say we can calculate the areas and volumes of the certain cost items, but maybe properties are not defined. Or let's say we can create the schedule, but building levels are not very good, or any other property. So in order to start further analysis, we need to first check if the models are okay. And I have to say that just this feature helps a lot, especially designers. There are some projects where literally months and months of manual work of engineers are now optimized by using this flexible data check system. So this is not just related to the properties. It could be much more complex in Bexel Manager. So let's say we can check if the windows are hosted by walls, or we can check, you will see later, combine the cost schedule information with IFC. So very interesting analysis could be automatically done in Bexel. So as you can see now, the user can just log on the cloud and send this to the in this case Beam Collab. What is also very important, the ability to move forward with the data checks. When certain data checks are defined, what is also very interesting, that we can, based on any knowledge base we already have, teach the system how to automatically enrich the model with new properties. So in this case, let's say there are uniformat codes, and this is Excel. As you know, Bexel is very open with this, so you can easily import, export data in any open format. So very open platform. So now just from Excel, you loading a cost database. And this is not just the cost information, you have all resources defined, but what is very important also, you have formulas and queries. So it allows Bexel to create automatically cost estimation. So this is much more than just simple cost estimate. But let's say the problem in this case is that certain properties like master format or uniformat are not properly defined. And in this case, with some additional simple add-in, we are loading a knowledge base which tells us which code has to be attached to the certain IFC entity and object type. So if we are using this on one project, we can easily use this on any other project and enhance this database. This is just a simple example. Of course, this could be much more complex and additional properties could be added. So the workflow is the following. You just load this uniformat code loader. So even if designer haven't done this before, and it's automatically attach the codes to each single element. And then if you have the cost databases, which in this case is uniformat, classification is used, you can literally in a second perform this auto assign and calculate the cost. So now you choose auto assign cost items, click OK. And when you do that, you automatically have entire cost. So the workflow goes like this. You load IFC files, you don't have properties, you don't want to spend so much time manually working in the Revit or any other tool. So what you are doing, loading the cost information and properties about cost information directly by using this small add-in called Uniformat Codes Loader. As you know, you can develop those add-ins. There is a huge documentation on our website and Bexel user area how to do that. Our experts and developers could help you, and the entire process is straightforward and could be reused on any future project. What is also very important now to talk about efficient use of available data. So what is the PT at the moment? Designers spend so much time to develop properly elements, categories, object types, families, buildings, everything. And we unfortunately do not use this efficiently in the construction stage. So as you can see here, for example, for zoning and planning of the project, we could use IFC group, IFC building element, IFC object type. So literally use all the elements, all the properties we have in the integrated B model and create automatically very interesting analysis later. So you have this very interactive system in Bexel. You will see how literally you can create any cost breakdown structure, any classification based on the needs. So the system is very flexible and can handle completely different projects. You see how now by using those properties which are already defined, you will have the full preparation for the cost structure, and later you will use it in the methodology. So how the system works, in this case we are loading just 3 IFC files. This is Autodesk Revit sample project. So we are using IFC. We have also a direct link with Autodesk Revit. So and add in. So we are now creating, based on those model, custom breakdown structure, organize the elements by source, by category. This is a quite small project, let's say 11,000 elements. Bexel can deal, you will see a bit later, with much larger projects. And now when you click OK, the system creates a custom breakdown structure where on the left-hand side you can see a color-coded system. So the elements are organized according to the source, and then according to the category, and in this case, according to the family, or in IFC terminology, IFC element entity and IFC type. So this is in a couple of seconds, you can create custom-based classification, color-coded system, so you can visually check if everything is done properly and okay. So this is a bit larger project, so football stadium for next World Cup, and again the custom breakdown structures are used, and that's how, for example, phases of the steel roof construction are analyzed and defined, and of course could be used later for 4D and 5D simulations. This is MEP utilities organized in this case by building levels, so we can literally query and customize the breakdown structure in the way we want. This is, I think this was for the previous World Cup. So this is, yeah, this is the project in Moscow. So we have an idea that Bexel is used for all World Cups. And this is, let's say, the analysis done for the football stadium in Moscow. So let's move forward. Now, the idea how the cost system is developed, what is just very important. Of course, all those videos will be sent to you, and webinars. So what is very important, that Bexel is a very flexible platform. So in this case, you can use Omni class, uniformat, master format, Spanish, BC3, German, DIN 276, co-class. Hopefully one day will be the standard in Europe, NRM2 or SMM7, not spec, Australian based, and you name it. So literally Bexel is very open in this way. And in this case, you can see that exports could be in BC3, which is Spanish, and also standard used in Latin America, and GAB is German cost standard. So when the beam cost classifications are defined, and every item has a cost information, but also a beam query and formulas, Bexel could automatically generate the cost, and then by using intelligent construction schedule, create very, very accurate 4D and 5D simulations. You can compare different versions, export to Power BI, and we'll show you a glimpse of that today as well. So now, this is one way how you can organize the methodology. My colleague Alexander will talk a bit more about this. So let's now see how the cost databases are integrated, and how quantity formulas and resources could be easily attached, and various analysis automatically produced from the single source of truth. Just to mention that Bexel has a desktop and a cloud-based system, so you can use our common data environment if you are working in the team, or if you are a single user, you can use also a desktop application. Sometimes, especially when you're dealing with a very large quantity of information, it is very good also to have data on your desktop, because as you might know, cloud-based solutions are very good, but sometimes performances struggle a bit, especially on the large-scale projects. So now, and what is also important, that Bexel could be hosted on any premises. So you could be Amazon, could be Azure, could be our server, but also what is very important, client servers and client premises as well. So now, just there is a question. Can I put yes, maybe you can the question is about Dutch standards. There are our partners in Netherlands, and they actually, I think, already integrated. There is already some works done with Dutch standards. So I saw on one presentation recently in the competition in Netherlands that they used also Dutch standard and classification integrated into Bexel Manager. So and what is very good, it's done by the experts in Netherlands. So let's say we didn't even know what they are doing. So this is an open, flexible system and allows users really to do everything by themselves. So now this is the way how the quantity takeoff is generated. And we chosen here the different selection sets, so architectural works, structural works, and based on that we automatically create, maybe just to move because I was answering the question, so we choose group by category, group by selection sets, which are previously defined. Then the third parameter is family, could be building level, any property you have in the system. And we are adding here the properties. So volume, let's say area, and the system automatically created quantity takeoff. So when I literally isolate any of those elements, I see visually where those elements are in the project, I see all the quantities. Of course, this is not enough for professional bill of quantities, and the beam could be just a good basis for this. But there are a lot of elements for which you need to have more specific formulas, such as reinforcement, formwork, and so on. So now, just based on this quantity takeoff and the defined outline level, which could be customized in Bexel, you can literally in a second automatically create a cost classification. And with this cost classification, now if the user have defined even the cost in the beam family, you can automatically have the cost as well. So now with this cost classification automatically generated, and if you add a certain costs or resources and so on, you can, in this case, we have a labor, equipment, materials. So these are various cost databases used. I think this one was from the Spain. So you can literally change the formula. So it's not necessarily just a property. You can set, okay, the waste factor I will include, or for warm work, or use the property reinforcement as, let's say, the density of reinforcement. So, and when it is done, the system can automatically create a new cost version. And you will see now that those cost versions are very, very detailed. So in this case, you see Swedish, it is AMA standard, the German standard, Spanish classification. So as you can see, you can use really various classification in Bexel Manager. We hope in the future that it's going to be a bit more unified, and because this is the part of digitalization, so standardization is very important. So now when we have this automatically calculated in Bexel Manager, literally whenever we isolate certain elements, we see just the cost of, in this case, architectural works. Or opposite, when we select the elements in the B model, in the cost items, we can see to which elements those classifications are connected. And this is another classification, let's say, and my colleague will later create based on this IFC-based classification, which is quite innovative again. Why? Because you can use this literally on every project in every country. So if you are a multinational company, you can easily deal with this, and the calculations and analysis could work very well because they are based on ISO IFC standard. So now this is example how you can define the properties, change the volumes for the quantity types, units. Usually it is predefined, and just maybe for new cost items, this has to be enhanced from time to time. The benefit of Bexel integrated system is, let's say, whenever I change the price of the concrete, let's say because it is increased due to change of the market, it's automatically changed the cost of all cost items related to it. So that's why it's important to properly have defined cost databases, and then you can use what if scenarios, all if bids are happening, and if somebody is giving you a different prices, you can see how the prices are differentiating among each other. So now what is also very just to move forward, so this is how formulas are defined, and when it is done, you can literally assign those elements to the uh, project and to the elements in the project, and see how those how the total costs will be automatically calculated, because again we are using quantity formula and element query for this. So just to move forward, this is an export into Excel. So let's say again fully open approach, so all cost classification you can import and export into Excel or any other format, so you can reuse it. For example, there are very large contractors around the world which use this for integration with SAP system or some other ERP platforms. And this is very important, because we know that we are not going to solve all the problems, and the collaboration is of course very, very important. So just to see, there is okay, no questions, great. So this is the way how you are importing, exporting cost information into Bexel, and let's say you can also, when it's imported, automatically calculate the costs for all elements. So as you can see now, this is not the QTO, but really bill of quantities with all cost items which are not necessarily exist in the BIM model. So you have a cost of formwork and reinforcement, although those elements does not exist in the BIM model, because you apply the formulas to other elements which exists in the project. So let's now just move forward. What is also very important to say that we are supporting and-5D. This is an open standard for cost IFC import and export. So we believe that this will help for collaboration with other platforms. So this could be a common exchange format based on IFC for exchanging the cost information between different platforms. So you can have a cost version or schedule. Also here you can have what is very important in this cost schema, that it is always related to the element. So this is not just an Excel spreadsheet, but there is also a rule-based system which allows users to know actually to which elements the certain calculation is made. Okay, costs which are not in the project, how do you not okay, QTO takeoff do not show the levels as per spatial structure, are also assigned items. Even the dates in Excel are not in the date format. The small correction is very much needed. Okay. QTO does not show the levels. Okay, to be honest, could somebody clarify this question? But would be excellent to answer to another question. How do you not it means most likely calculate the elements which are not the part of the project. So you have to create formula and relate them to the existing elements. That's one approach. So if certain formulas could be calculated, then you can attach formwork to the elements. If let's say low voltage systems are not modeled, the best approach would be to attach the cost information to the spaces. So let's say in Austria and in Germany, and there are also a lot of projects in the States, have what is called square meter or square foot models in the early design stage. So you know how much it's going to cost you low voltage on the in an average office building. So then you attach that cost information to the spaces in the early design stage. Not just that, in the states with, let's say, database like ours means, you have also resources which give you the idea for the wiring, how much work hours you would need. So you can literally have also resources on site, although they are not modeled at the moment. So these are very interesting approaches. So square meters, square foot models could be used for everything which is not modeled in the early stage. For reporting, maybe it's interesting to share with you one live demo. So now with the new version, I mean, QTO shows one floor. Oh, you mean, okay. There is a question about the sorting. Okay, we can double check this. Okay, uh, yeah, that's okay. If you defined, okay, just in the floor, if you use a 0, 1, 0, 2, and so on, this could. But yeah, you are right. This could be also sorted automatically based on the height. Let's say this could be a use case, because sometimes the floors are not all standardized, so you have to find some way for the sorting. So if you just use 0, 1, 0, 2 and the naming convention for the floors, it would work. There are unfortunately sometimes challenges that users on different parts of the project develop a different building stories, and then when you unify this, it's not ideal, but it is the more related to the requirements in the early design stage. Okay, having all this IFC, can you generate the schedule directly? Yes, yes. So I will show, we will show you today how this could be automatically generated. I will just now want to show you one example, but or maybe just I would ask Alex to continue now with the explanations, and then at the end I will show you example with the Power BI reports, but the progress has to be entered and schedule generated. So Alex, could you please?
Yes, I can take over. No
Thank you.
problem. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I hope you can all hear me and see my screen. Thank you, Veljko, and hello everyone. My name is Alexander Ilic, and I will continue with this presentation. So after Veljko has explained how we solved efficient use of available data and the cost database, we'll now focus on another important part of the project management process, and the one that we, to be honest, found as one of the most challenging during our experience on international projects, and that is scheduling process. So it always took us way too much time and way too much engineering resources to develop detailed schedules and to input all information. We found the process to have way too much manual work, way too much repetitive tasks, and it was just inefficient. So we were thinking, what if we somehow reinvent the process itself? So we were thinking, what is the first step? We first analyzed case studies, good examples in practice. We analyzed scheduling methods and tried to find the best approach to the scheduling. And what we also did, we analyzed schedules, the working schedules that we have developed. So when we analyzed numerous schedules, we found we found that there are two main levels of organization for any successful schedule. There is a spatial project organization and what we call work sequence definition or methodology. So just think about it. If you analyze any of your schedule on the projects, you always had to separate the works and to organize them in terms of spatial organization. One of it is horizontal organization. So you had to separate your project in buildings. You had to separate it in smaller zones. You had to separate it into blocks if it's a bigger project. And you always had the vertical spatial organization, which is simple separation on the floors. So whenever you do and whichever type of the project you have, you always have to separate or organize your project into smaller areas, into spatial organization. And besides that, when you did it, you also had to do what we call functional organization or work sequence definition. You just always set to define which type of works starts first and which one is followed, and you define the relations between it. But we were thinking if there is a better way to define these essential organizational levels for the project. So we come up with this idea. So instead of manual schedule creation that you create every task in the project independently and define relation, we were thinking, what if planner only defines these levels of organization, and intelligent scheduling matrix or computer algorithm actually generates the schedule from these rules defined by the user. So our basic idea was this: what if we produce such a software architecture that allows you to define, for instance, first you define the buildings on your project. So you will define, in this simple example, you will define the relation between two buildings, when the first one starts, when the second one starts. Then you're going to define the order of work. So you're going to just say, okay, I'm going to start with the site preparation, following by the foundation works, following by the slab on grade, and so on and so on. Then you're going to go to the next level of organization and say, okay, within the every, for example, within every concrete work, I'm going to have first form work, then I'm going to install reinforcement, then I'm going to I'm going to pour concrete, and then I'm going to do concrete finishing. And on the next level, I'm just going to define the vertical levels of my project. So I'm going to say, okay, start from the lowest floor to the highest. And then within every floor, I'm going to just say to separate it, in this case, on 3 different phases, and say, okay, when I finish first phase, I'm going to continue to the next one. So with this matrix, I don't have to create, let's say, formwork for the concrete beam on the first floor on building 1 in phase 1, and to do that for phase 2, phase 3, for floor 5, and so on. I'm just going to do it once, and then the intelligent scheduling engine will repeat this process. So after we developed this scheduling engine, we just started with creating schedule in this way by defining these, in this case, 5 levels of organization, and we got something like this. So we got generic schedule, pretty well optimized with only the default duration of the tasks. But basically, you got very optimal schedule structure, and you had the opportunity to define very large schedules and very detailed schedules by simply defining simple rules or just few sets of rules. It didn't take too much time to develop, and it gave you opportunity to develop very detailed schedules and very precise schedules and very optimized in a way. So besides that, since we started our schedule creation within BIM tool, we actually right away get the schedule that is linked with the elements. It's linked with the elements, and it's completely integrated with the information within BIM model. So you, as you create schedule right away, you have numerous available analysis, so you can evaluate the schedule, you can optimize it and fine tune it. You can see the whole progress forecast for the whole schedule. You can see the resources used, you can see cash flow, you can see cumulative cost S curve. Everything is available right away, and of course 4D 5D construction simulation. So after we did it, we just tried to see if there are some limits in applying this logic. And we found the whole system to be very flexible. So we have tried it on the small project, on the large scale projects, on the infrastructure, on the housing, even hospitals, stadiums, and it works pretty well because this type of construction actually follows pretty much the same structure of the schedule. Of course, you have differences in the methodology, you have different sequence of work for different types of the projects. But let's say for this example, this is the project that was actually the main showcase for our submission for this year Building Smart Awards, which won the innovation category this year. Actually, if you look closely to this project that has more than 20 buildings, we only had to define these six levels of organization, and we were able with this scheduling matrix to create schedule of more than 10,000 tasks and relations altogether. To do it in a traditional way, it would take us months and months to do that, to create every single task and every single relationship. And in this case, it just took us few working days. But I'm going to also show you one more scheduling matrix for this. In this case, it's infrastructure project. So we were using the same logic. We were only changing a little bit spatial organization. So we didn't have vertical spatial organization. We just added a chainage. So we were added the chainage or the sequence of the sections of this linear infrastructure project, and we just got in the same way very complex and very detailed schedule using the same principles. So to sum up intelligent scheduling, we can see this workflow. Actually, you just have to define spatial organization of the projects through defining the zones in our software. You just have to define construction methodology by connecting it with the project cost database. Then you're going to just assemble all together into creation template and to combine it. So why is that important? It is important because you can reuse these defined organizations into following projects. So you have very intelligent knowledge management. Then you can just auto-generate schedule, fine-tuning, and evaluate it through extensive analytics that is available. And then you just have fully integrated 4D, 5D BIM analysis in your uh, Bexel manager model. So I'm going to just show you briefly on this sample case how it is actually done in the software. So as I said, all the information for the spatial organization and the methodology is actually already available in almost every model. So you always have information about the levels, more or less. Veljko just explained how you can utilize the available information for the cost database. So we're going to just rely on this existing information and quickly and very easily define schedules. So in this case, first, we're going to define vertical spatial organization. So basically, we're just linking building stories to what we call levels zone and define relations between the stories. So we just say finish start from the lowest to the highest. Then we are defining the next level of the spatial organization. We are defining the sequence of the phases. So we're not going to execute one floor at a time. We're going to separate it on 3 different zones to have more optimal resources use. And here we're just defining the sequence of these phases. Then here we're going to just demonstrate creation of very simple project methodology only for structural works on this project, because we don't have time to demonstrate this complex one for all works on the project. So you just have to link actually cost items from the cost database, which basically describe your works, types of works. And you see, this is a very intuitive sequence that says site preparation, structural foundations. After that, you're going to execute foundation beams, slab on grade, and after slab, you're going to start with the columns, walls, and roofs. Of course, you just have to use copy to children relation, so you can translate these relations to the lower levels of organization of your schedule. You're going to use constructive relations that will prevent illogical behavior. That means to start getting, let's say, beams on the second floor before you finish beams on the supporting elements, columns, and walls on that floor. Then here you can see definition of the next level of organization. That means that within every main type of work, you can define sub activities as well and their sequence to have even more detailed schedule. You see that within every this main group of work, you have subgroups defined. So after that, we're just going to go back to the zones and just define constructive to be applied constructive relations on the levels to prevent this illogical behavior of the working sequence. We're going to assemble creation template by using methodology or the two levels of the methodology that we defined. So this was the first 7 groups of works. Now we're going to include the next level where within every main group we have sub-activities. Then we're going to define vertical spatial organization, horizontal spatial organization, and we have everything ready for schedule creation. So creating a schedule after this is defined is very simple. You just have to create a blank schedule. You have to assign corresponding cost database. So the cost information will be updated right away and integrated into schedule. And then you just have to apply the rules that we have just defined through zones and methodologies. So there it is. You have completely defined schedule with 311 tasks and 200 relations. You have line of balance view, you have Gantt chart, you have schedule analytics, so you have cash flow, you have cumulative cost, and one important thing is that right away you have schedule animation as well. So basically, as soon as you create your schedule, you can easily evaluate it. You can easily evaluate if the sequence construction sequence is logical, if the parameters of the scheduler analytics is well, and you can further fine tune it to get really functional master schedule for your project. So I'm gonna just, I mean, I'm just gonna speed up a little bit this video. So I'm gonna just show you here also the more complex schedules that we have developed that actually include all types of works within this model. So you can see that this schedule is much more detailed. You can see that in this case, we were using uniformized cost database with integrated resources. So you have even more extensive analytics within your schedule. So besides cash flow, you can see the labor and equipment analytics, and you can further optimize it through resource leveling. And you can see that this animation is even more complex because we just had more types of works defined. So basically that was it for the demonstration. For the time limits, we will just continue further. So after we have defined the schedule, the next step is progress tracking. So when you define schedule, you have to input progress. What is important about schedule in Bexel Manager is that once it is actually active schedule, what we call it. When you input progress, the schedule will recalculate all the following activities. So if, for example, you had certain task that was scheduled to be executed in 10 days, and you put the information that it was actually executed in 15, that task will be extended to 15 days and all the works that follow this task will be moved ahead. So you have realistic schedule and you have realistic forecast based on the progress input. Also, I'm just going to tell you that here you can see that there are three main different workflows to update the progress input in the schedule. So you can put it directly in Bexel Manager, just marking the elements or percentage of completion, whatever way you like to update your schedule. You can use it by sending BCF file of the look ahead plans to the surveyors on site, and they can return you back the real progress schedule via BCF file. You can import it and progress update. And you can also use API that will automatically create look ahead plans that you can send to the surveyors on site and get the information back via BCF. So it's fully open BIM solution, and it gives you opportunity to easily communicate and exchange information with the other stakeholders on the project. Here we're going to just briefly go through the process of progress update. So basically here the user has to prepare look ahead plan. So it defines the period for which the look ahead plan will be done. So within schedule animation, he can simply produce selection set with the elements that are planned for the, let's say, next week to be executed. Uh, Easily with the BCF manager, he can just create BCF file from this selection set, send it via any BCF supporting application to the surveyor on site or to the contractor. Contractor can open this BCF file, select which elements were actually executed, create another BCF file with the real progress data in this case, and it can send it back to the project manager to be imported into Bexel manager like this. So basically once our project manager imports the BCF file back, he can just create another selection set and use it to simply import data into actual schedule. And after that import is completed and approved, he can just simply evaluate the schedule analytics and see the differences. So he can compare planned baseline schedule and the new actual schedule with the progress information included. So besides this, there is also even more advanced workflow that includes smart API script that actually can produce automatically look ahead plans for defined period of time. Sorry, this is not the right slide. I'm sorry for this. So the API script that can automatically produce look ahead plans for defined periods and just automatically create selection sets for the certain period of times, for the certain intervals, and all the elements could be sorted by activity. So you have opportunity to send different activities to the different surveyors on site. So if, for example, you have one surveyor for the architectural works, you're going to only send him look ahead plans for the elements that are part of architectural activities. And if you're going to have the one for the MEP, you're going to do that as well. So this system actually allows you to automate the process of progress input and to significantly reduce workload on the surveyors and project managers that are managing progress, and also get much more detailed information about the progress, and with that also more precise analytics and better project performances at the end. So the next workflow, very important, is model update. It is great if you can quickly produce your schedule, if you can smartly manage your cost data, if you can input your progress data easily. But if you have change in the project, and that happens very often, and you cannot update this analysis, it doesn't help you much. But within Bexel Manager, things are pretty organized regarding this update process. So you can simply update your model, in this case with IFC files, only for architectural and structural works. So you can partially update it because this model was assembled from 3 sources. You can simply choose which source you're going to update. So you just match the sources that will be updated. You choose what will happen with the missing elements, the elements that were deleted. So here we're just choosing to keep the elements so we can track the changes within the model. And it's going to be demonstrated later how it works. So basically, after model is updated, you can very simply analyze what were the elements that were changed. So in this case, you see that to our sample model, we added some terraces. So the architectural and structural model was slightly changed. Here you can find the automatically created selection set, which will show you which elements were added, which elements were deleted, which elements stay in the model. They have just changed geometry or changed some properties or changed some cost information, so you can easily track the changes. So after that is analyzed, now you can check the cost information. In the cost information, you see that edit elements are not included into this analysis. It is the same for the schedule as well. So you see that newly added elements are not part of the existing schedule. So should we do the analysis from scratch? Of course not. In this case, with the simple update process, you can update these analysis and get new elements and get new design within your already prepared project analysis. And you can even analyze the differences. So right now, you just auto assign new elements to the existing cost version. Now you see that the elements are included into cost version. You see the new price. You see the baseline cost database, and you see the difference in price is, in this case, roughly $60,000. So actually, software just gave you calculation what is the cost difference between these two model versions or project versions actually. So when it comes to the schedule, again, here we see that the elements are still not linked to the schedule, the newly added elements. So we're gonna just start with the update process. So first, we're just checking the cost classification that was included is the one that we have just updated. So it has to be updated before you start with the update process. You just click update. The process is very simple, very quick. And right now you're gonna see that all newly added elements are part of this schedule that was created on the old version of the model. We're gonna just test it in the 4D, 5D animation. So we're gonna update animation with newly updated schedule, and we're gonna simply see that the elements that we added are now part of the updated animation. So you see that the terraces are appearing in the corresponding sequence of work. Okay, just let's move to the next slide. Well, for the end, this is the slide that actually shows the IFC MVD schema for the exchange of schedule information within IFC through IFC export. So here you can see IFC property sets that could be exported from Bexel schedule. And we find this very important for successful interoperability within OpenBIM environment. So here we're going to just go quickly through the process of IFC export. So you can simply just define to which IFC you're going to export it. You can customize your export, click OK, save the file, and it's simple as that. It is, the file is quickly exported and you could exchange it with other other OpenBIM applications. Thank you for your time. I
If
hope
you,
that you found this interesting. Yes.
yeah, Alex, just to answer to a couple of questions,
Okay. Yes.
if I may share also my screen just to show you
Yes.
some
Of
reports.
course.
Okay, so here is the so one thing I would like first to answer to your question. So the question was, can we use different methodologies, of course, for different parts of the project? So yes, this could be done. So literally, when you have the methodology defined here in the scheduling part and define the template, you can, let's say, have one cast in place building and the second one precast. And so you can just have a slightly different methodologies, and just when you are creating a schedule with a wizard, choose the option for the building one, just go to the wizard. Okay, just when you create a new schedule, let's say I could choose for the first, if I had two buildings, I can choose for the first building just one task, and for the second building, so I can choose a creation wizard, and says, okay, I will use one methodology for the precast and the second methodology for the second building, and you will have different methodologies for different parts of the building. Just want to show you when you have actual progress, when your actual data enter on the site, so I can compare with planned, as Alex mentioned, so all analysis, so this is not just this, but I can see baseline cost, total cost, earned value, so I know literally where I am in the project, and I can see also this in the report. So this is a cash flow, cumulative S curve, so I see that I'm a bit behind in the schedule, and see a different labor resource analysis and so on. But what is also very important, that in this case you have a direct export to Power BI, could be basic, advanced, you can customize it, you can develop your own. So as you know, Power BI is very open, and I would just like to show this also Power BI example. So this is from the demo model. So if you have our trial version, you can go to Bexel user area, download all materials here, and in various languages. So manuals are there. You have a demo models. One of them is the models presented here. So this is a Revit sample model. You have ArchiCAD, you have infrastructure project, very large project with 670,000 elements. So to test performances on the huge projects, and how it looks like. So you have here a lot of analysis. So one is Model Explorer, where I can literally see all the cost classifications, structure of my cost. Of course, is a Power BI. I can just filter to the second floor, first floor, automatically see all the analysis. There is also a clash detection view, where I can see all the clashes in the project visually. Where are those clashes in the project? See those numbers. So Bexel is integrated platform, and it is very nice for project management. I can choose a cost classification, structure of material, labor cost, drill down, filter this. And what is also very important, this is a planned versus actual analysis, where I am in the schedule, what are my results, earned values, S curves, planned and actual number of workers, costs. So maybe I had more workers than I planned, but also the reason could be that simply the prices of certain materials goes up, and that's why we are struggling on the project. You have Gantt charts when you can see actual or planned projects. So let's say just go to actual, you can see it with all data. You can share this with the client. So our clients, usually project managers, owners, like this very much. And what is very, very important, a real earned value analysis. So you see baseline cost, earned value analysis. It is, I have to say, much more complex than Primavera, because Primavera cannot store the information when something happened on the site. It's just know the cumulative number. So Bexel allows you this. So if you isolate a certain, let's say just foundation works, I can see S curves and earned value and cost variance, but also just for foundation works. But what is very important, I can see how cost performance index has changed. So I spend more money than planned in the first month. In the second, I was almost even, but in the last 2 months, I spend less. So when you have all this data, you have also schedule performance index, S curves for just one cost or for the entire schedule. So when you have all this information, you can literally manage the project, organize the meetings, knows what's going on, know what are the problems. And what is also very important, just to move here, to schedule performance indexes per resource. So if I see here now for each resource, material, equipment, labor, I can see what are the works on the site. So if I isolate carpenters, I can see what are the costs and quantities of my carpenters on site, how this is changed. So I know if the problem is, let's say, that I'm paying much more my workers or subcontractors on site, or simply their productivity is lower, because this is a completely two different messages. And the same goes, let's say, with the equipment. So I can isolate here a crane and again see the same analysis for the crane or materials. So literally I have the system which can control the entire execution of the project. And what is very important, the entire demo is available on Bexel user area. So you can even, maybe if you want, just in the chat, okay, how to do that. Maybe I can mention this in the chat. Let me see how I can do that. Alex, can you help me to share this, or just you can screenshot this and go to this
To share this, okay, I'm gonna send it to the chat.
in the
Don't worry.
chat.
Yeah,
Okay, in the chat. Oh,
I will
can
send
you
it.
do that?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I will.
Okay, so you can literally go and see how this demo works. Of course, if you use a trial version, you can just open this Bexel manager and try by yourself to export the information from the sample project, which is available on Bexel user area. So sorry, we are a bit late. So just to answer to further questions, BCF export, I know that with BIM 360, it doesn't work anymore, BCF. What is our suggestion? Use Bexel Manager on site. Let's say Bexel Manager allows you really in a much more intelligent way to organize the progress, look ahead. It is more straightforward. We hope that in the future, again, the other tools will support BCF. So unless it is done, you can use Bexel Manager on site. We just wanted to demonstrate here how you can work with other tools. Fortunately, there are now new tools which support BCF, so you can use any of those tools. But what is very important, it is not necessarily one single selection set, because I can say on those elements, I'm performing, let's say, there is a progress here. I can say that on a certain elements in the project, I'm performing a form work, but on the others, I'm just doing a reinforcement. So these selection sets are not necessarily unique. And I at the end can enter a different data for different activities on the site. Just another question. Do you have student version? Yes, we have. So for all students, we have at the moment in, I think, 140 countries, educational licenses. So for professors and students, they are fully free for 1 year. The only thing you have to do is to have some sort of confirmation letter from university or student ID, valid student ID, and you can use all these features. There are a lot of master's thesis, PhD thesis done with Bexel Manager. Of course, the only limitation is that you cannot use it on commercial projects. So just go on our website and ask for a educational license. Also, okay, next question. Okay, yes, we will make the video of this presentation available. So to all registered participants, the presentation will be sent. Are there any additional questions in chat, in Q&A session? If not, thank you very much. So if you want to learn more, you can go on our website. They are also on our YouTube channel. They are very impressive simulations from very complex infrastructure, high-rise building projects, plants, football stadiums. So I hope you like it. So the idea is to have a completely digital integrated ecosystem and to manage the project. Oh, there are another questions. All these features are included in Bexel Manager Lite. Yes. there are the only limitation is 15,000 elements, because we believe that it is not fair that the users who are working on the huge infrastructure projects, multi-billion projects, pay the same price as the small offices for, let's say, small buildings, I don't know, several thousand square meters and so on. Is this going to be extra webinar about API? There is already on our YouTube channel. You have a lot of webinars. One of them recently was, I think, a week or 2 weeks ago, and it was just dedicated to APIs. There are a lot of applications already available for different countries, different calculations, different cost integrations, and so on. Also, there are materials how to deal with our API, how to use it. So essentially you can add new applications here. So for example, this is a NetSpec data checker, German data checker, sensor data integration, and so on. But also what is very important, that in the console, you can literally create various very easy scripts and perform as Alex presented. So let's say look ahead plans could be generated in the script, which is less than 100 lines of code. Go to chat. So, okay, thank you for your time. Just to see if there are any other questions. Okay, okay. There is also, if you are on the Building Smart International Summit registered, tomorrow will be presentation about data management. Yesterday was presentation about 4D and 5D. Tomorrow, I think at 10, Alex, maybe you know exact time.
Yes, yes, it's 10 o'clock
So at
Central
10
European time.
o'clock Central European time, so it is 9 a.m. GMT time. If you are registered on Building Smart International Summit, this will be the fourth presentation on the summit, on this summit about Bexel Manager. So you can learn more about data checks, data manipulation, so automatic data enrichment, and so on. Okay. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for good questions. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to contact us. Have a nice rest of the day, and stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.